Obasanjo's volte-face on Yar'Adua, Remorse or Political Calculation, Part 1. During a recent media gathering in Abuja, General Olusegun Obasanjo fielded questions for the first time about President Yar'Adua's prolonged absence from the country due to a heart ailment. One of the participants opined that Obasanjo's installation of Yar'Adua as the PDP presidential candidate, in spite of the man's medical condition, was responsible for the current political logjam in the nation. In an obvious attempt to counter what the man said and hence absolve himself of culpability, Obasanjo embarked on a lengthy discussion of what transpired during the period. He also talked about the reasons why he picked him. In the final analysis, he made a sweeping but instructive statement to the effect that if someone is chosen to do a job and suddenly finds out that he's no longer able to, he should follow the path of honor. Nigerians interpreted this statement as a call by Yar'Adua's political godfather for him to resign. Obasanjo's volte-face came as a shock to many, considering the passion with which he defended his choice of Yar'Adua in 2006. Questions are now being asked, and eyebrows are being raised. Nigerians are wondering why Obasanjo has suddenly turned against the man he was willing to do and say anything about just to install him as Nigeria's president. Is it possible that he's feeling some remorse with respect to the mess his action plunged Nigeria into? Or is this a mere political calculation to position himself once again in the corridors of power in Asher Rock? It would have been a different case if Obasanjo did not know about Yar'Adua's medical condition before selecting him. That was not the case. By his own admission, he knew. Here is what he said when he addressed that issue during the Abuja media parley. I knew that Yar'Adua has kidney problem and was under dialysis, and that he went abroad for the treatment when he was the governor of Katsina State. Before I picked him, and I asked him questions, and he gave me the medical report that states that he's no longer under dialysis. Obasanjo went further to say that he talked to medical experts who essentially said that since Yar'Adua was no longer under dialysis, he was basically good to go. The surprising part of this is what his medical experts allegedly told him. This writer is not a medical personnel and does not claim to be one. But one of the things we hear and read from medical experts is that stress can lead to hypertension, and that hypertension that goes untreated for a period of time could lead to kidney damage. If the medical experts that Obasanjo talked to cared to do their due diligence, they should also have explained to him, assuming they did not, that the presidency, being a high-stress position, will likely exacerbate Yar'Adua's medical condition. Let us for a moment assume that Obasanjo went ahead with his choice because his experts did not explain the relationship between stress and kidney failure to him. He had another chance during the campaign to have corrected his mistakes, but he did not. At the heat of the campaign, when stress of course set in, Umaru Yar'Adua was said to have collapsed and was flown to Germany for medical attention. Before long, rumors started flying around that he was dead. If Obasanjo was at any point prepared to rectify what had become an obvious mistake, that episode presented a perfect opportunity for him to retrace his steps. Most people would think twice about a candidate they are pushing for a job as stressful as the presidency if the person succumbed under campaign pressure, which was just a fraction of the rigors that the presidency presents. The path of honor would have been for Obasanjo to remove Yar'Adua's name from the running. What did he do instead? He decided to play a game of mirrors and smoke screens, hoodwinking Nigerians in the process. During one of PDP's presidential campaign stops, when Yar'Adua was receiving treatment in Germany, Obasanjo placed a call to him in the hospital. "Umaru, are you dead?" he asked deceitfully, trying to debunk the death rumor. Of course, Umaru was not dead, but he was battling a serious ailment that both men knew he had, but were bent on concealing from Nigerians. Umaru simply responded that he was not dead, to the delight of some of the audience who did not know that they were being treated to an advanced presidential abracadabra. The more you look, the less you see. Nigerians still remember what happened just as Obasanjo's tenure was winding down. Suddenly, through his surrogates, he began to seek a third term so that he would serve for a period of 12 years. That was against the Constitution, but he was determined and so pulled out all the stops. This threw the nation into frenzy as proponents tried to employ all kinds of ploy to steer our assemblymen in that direction. But for the frontal resistance from some men and women of honor, Nigerians will still be under Obasanjo's bondage. What that episode revealed was that Nigeria was dealing with a leader who had become corrupted by absolute power and wanted to succeed himself. He had developed a messianic bent where he did not believe that anyone was good enough to replace him. At that point in time, he was the judge, jury, and executioner. He had the EFCC and Nuhu Ribadu for intimidating those who dared to question his actions. As soon as the third term bid failed, Obasanjo went to Plan B. He will install someone in the presidency willing to do his bidding. That, in effect, will give him a level of influence in piloting the affairs of the nation. Some will call it ruling the nation by proxy. Who best to fill the position than a little-known governor of Katsina State, humble in personality and mild in demeanor? Yar'Adua was also touted as a fiscally responsible governor who decried corruption. Obasanjo saw in Yar'Adua someone he could influence and so went for him, advertently ignoring the red flags that were popping up everywhere about the man's health. The unfortunate thing is that there were many Nigerians well qualified to step into the presidency and had no inhibiting health conditions. The problem was that Obasanjo was not sure if they would be loyal to him when he left office. Deciding not to take any chances, he stuck with Umaru Yar'Adua. In fact, he used EFCC to scare off some candidates that expressed interest in the presidency. They all scampered away to safety and cleared the arena for him to do as he wished. He selected Yar'Adua and shoved him down the collective throats of Nigerians. We swallowed the bitter pill, kicking and screaming, but powerless to mount a strong challenge. I am Alfred Ubiora Uzokwe. These commentaries continued in Part 2. Part 2 will further explore whether Obasanjo's new stand on Yar'Adua is out of remorse or a political calculation.